whisperer, book whisperer, and in this channel we talk about books all the time. Today we are talking about my 10 before the end, aka the 10 books I want to read before the year is over. Yeah, because unfortunately, or I don't know, like, what do you mean the year is about to be over? What do you mean? We are talking about the last books we want to read in 2025. What do you mean I need to organize my end of the year TBR? What do you mean I'm organizing Bookmas videos? Before we get into it, there's some works going on outside my building right now, which obviously always has to happen at the worst times. I was literally waiting for a moment when they weren't making any noise, and they weren't, and now they started again. So that's nice. Anyways, we are here to talk about books, so let's not let anything distract us from that. Let's just jump into our end of the year TBR. So these are the 10 books I want to read before the end of the year. I thought we would go by genre. Also, I kind of struggled to put together this TBR because, first of all, there's a lot of books that I would like to read before the end of the year that I haven't gotten to yet. But also, a lot of those books, especially for fantasy books, a lot of those books are like first books in a series, and just because of that, they're not really my priority at the moment, because I'm like, I know the second book in this series is coming out next year, so I may wait next year, like the winter time, to read them. But yeah, so anyway, let's start with general fiction, because I only have 2 books in there. So the first one, I cannot believe I haven't read this yet. This is a book that came out earlier this year, and it's by one of my all-time favorite authors. So I honestly don't know why I haven't read it yet. I've been putting it off for no reason. Like, I cannot, honestly, I cannot find an excuse for this. So yeah, it's a goal of mine to read it before the end of the year, and that is Atmosphere. By Taylor Jenkins Reid, who is one of my all-time favorite authors. She is an auto-buy author for me, and like, I literally have no excuse for not reading this yet. I remember once I finished Project Hail Mary earlier this year, I wanted to go straight into this to keep the space vibes going, but I don't know why I didn't do it. And now it's sitting on my shelf unread. And I've read another sci-fi novel in the meantime. And honestly, I have no excuse. If you don't know what this book talks about, basically is set in the 80s, and it follows the story of one of the first women who were allowed to study to become an astronaut, from what I know. And like there's a bit of a love story in there, I believe. So I think it's everything I like. I would really like this book. Her writing style is amazing. I really enjoy her historical fiction sort of novels. Taylor Jenkins Reid is the author of Daisy Jones and the Six, which was a 5-star for me. Malibu Rising, which was also a 5-star. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Carrie Soto is Back, etc. She also wrote some women fiction with romance in it, but it's women fiction more like and like After I Do, One True Loves, etc. in her backlog, and I love those books too. I've read almost everything she wrote, and yeah, so this is definitely very high on my TBR for the end of the year. It has to be read before the year ends, otherwise I'll just be really sad, you know what I mean? Like, she will come out. I don't want to get to the point where she comes out with another book and I haven't read this one, you know? That's the first book on the TBR. The next book I don't own a physical copy of. I've tried to only put books I own a physical copy of on this list, but I didn't want to overdo the fantasy because it's already like the main chunk of this TBR. And there is a book that I've been really wanting to read that came out this year. I just found out that it's not a standalone, so that's kind of putting me off it a tiny bit, but I still added it to this because I keep thinking about it. I keep seeing people reading it, and so it makes me want to read it. So the book in question is The Academy by Ellen Hilderbrand and her daughter Shelby Cunningham, I believe. I read my first Ellen Hilderbrand book this year. I read The Summer of '69, and I really, really, really liked it. I like her writing style, and I liked, you know, the historical fiction aspect of it. Usually Ellen Hilderbrand writes like summer books set in Nantucket, but this one, The Academy, is completely different because it's set in academia. So I don't know if it's a dark or light academia, I have no idea, but apparently it's sort of a Gossip Girl vibes, but set in an English prep school, I believe, in a prep school in general, where there's this app that goes viral where everyone writes like gossip about people. So it's more of a mystery, academia kind of vibes. So I think it's perfect for the fall. The cover looks very fall as well, very autumnal. So yeah, I want to put this on this list, fully knowing that I would probably not read it because I don't know if it's a series. I don't really necessarily want to start another one, you know. I have too many going on as it is. So yeah, but I keep thinking about it. So yeah, I just added this to the list, and we will see. If you read it already, let me know. Let me know how you found it, because yeah, I would like some feedback. I've seen people really enjoying it, so yeah, but we'll see. Like, anyways, this is just an excuse to talk about books and tap on some books. You all know by now that I'm too much of a mood reader to have a sad TBR of anything of any kind, but yeah, these are books that recently I've been saying, like, I want series, and then for some reason I get sidetracked and I go on a side quest, I read another book, and then I come back to them, you know. So yeah, I don't even know if any of these books are on my 25 books to read in 2025, but we don't care. I kind of gave up on that list. We'll talk about it during Bookmas, but yeah, I feel like my taste has changed a bit, so. But anyways, the Academy. Moving on to romance. We have three books that I would like to read. One that I've been meaning to read for years. The thing is that I think I will really like it because it has some elements in it that I know I like. But I don't know why, for some reason, I just keep meaning to pick it up and I don't. And right now, I'm not in a huge romance mood. To be honest, I'm like in a huge fantasy mood. So I don't know when I'm going to get to this, but I have to. Okay, right. So the first one. The first one is the 7-year slip. The 7-year slip by Ashley Boston. So this book is a magical realism romance where a girl whose name I don't know, Clementine, lives in a flat that actually travels back to the past, and she figures this out because one day she finds a man in her living room and she's like, who are you? What are you doing here? And he's like, who are you? What are you doing here? This is my flat. She's like, no, this is my flat. And they figure out that he was living in that flat 7 years prior. So there's a bit of time traveling element, like it's magical realism. That's the magical realism element of this book. I know that all of their books have some magical realism in them, and I honestly want to read them all. Like, they all sound so good. So I don't know why, once again, I've been postponing this, especially because I know I will like it, and it's not that long. Like, this is, what is it, 320 pages. So once again, I honestly have no excuse. You can scream at me if you want, I deserve it. But yeah, I'm not like in a big romance mood lately, so I don't know if I'm ever gonna get to it. But we have the 7-year slip. If you have read any of these books, convince me to read them in the comments, please. And then I have new releases. One I'm scared of reading because I've seen mixed reviews. I've seen people really not liking this book. And the other one, I really have to get to it, even if I'm not in a romance mood, honestly, because I've been anticipating reading this since I found out that this was coming out. I pre-ordered it. I waited for it for like a month after the publication date. I don't know what happened with my pre-order, but yeah. And now I've seen a bunch of people giving it 5 stars, even people who don't usually read romance and just picked this up for a quick read and stuff like that. So I'm really intrigued, you know. But the first one is people watching Young. The cover of this is stunning. Perfect autumnal vibes. So from what I know, this book is a small town fall romance where this girl moves back home because she needs to help her father or her mother, I don't remember, like take care of them and their health, and she bumps into this guy who is very, like, he rolls into town. He's not from the town. He rolls into town and he's very enigmatic, very mysterious. So she bumps into him, and I don't know the premise behind it, but I know that they end up becoming kind of friends with benefits. So one of the reasons people don't really like this, from what I've seen, is the premise of like the friends with benefits situation and how physical their connection seems to be. And yeah, that's the main critique I've heard, is that it gets too physical too quickly, and the focus of the relationship stays on this. So yeah, I tend to not like when the focus of a romance is on the physical attraction and connection two people have. I like my romances to be more emotional, you know. I don't mind my spice in books, but if it's the main focus of the whole thing, that just rubs me the wrong way. So yeah, that's the first one, and this is a newer release. It hasn't been out for a long while. So I mean, if I don't read it before the end of the year, I'm fine, but I would like to also, because it's autumnal, so maybe in November, if I feel like reading a quick romance, I could pick this up. It's not really long, it's not very long, and this would be my first full-length Hannah Bonham Young novel. So yeah, there's people watching, and the book I'm really anticipating reading and I'm really excited for is If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This book, well, first of all, it's stunning. It's really giving Stars Hollow on the cover with the gazebo and the buildings here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And I love the premise. I think it's gonna be really fun. It's so long for a romance. It's like 500 pages. Okay, but I've heard people saying that they really didn't mind, that it doesn't feel like a 500 pages book, and that, you know, it's a 5-star. What I love about it is also that this book takes place in the 90s, in 1997, which is actually my birth year, and it takes place in the Burr months. So for example, you have September, like it's parts, like part 1, part 2, etc., but it's September 1997, October 1997, and so on. So I really like this idea of it following the Burr months. I feel like that makes it even more meta, and I really enjoy the concept. So yeah, I kind of would like to read it next month, because I don't know, I have FOMO and it's been calling my book already, I think, this channel. I'm really excited because it follows a dancer who has a chronic illness, I believe, but I don't know much about it, so I will figure it out while reading, but it follows a dancer, so I just, because of that, I really love it. As a dancer myself, I love to see this in books, and it's a fantasy romance. So this is the first book, and there's I don't know how the series is called, but the second book is coming out next year. It looks stunning. It sounds very interesting. So, yeah. It's also not very, very long. It's 400 pages. So yeah, it follows this girl who was a dancer in the king's court in this, fantasy kingdom. And one day the king frames her for murder and imprisons her. And now it's years later, and the king proposes to her to he makes a deal with her for her to become a spy, basically come back into the court as a dancer and gather information at different balls and stuff in exchange for her freedom. So once she completes this mission he gives her, she will be free. There's a lot of court intrigue. From what I gather from the back of the book is that there is a bit of a love triangle, possibly like Powerless by Lauren Roberts, between the two princes and stuff. So, you know what? I haven't read a fantasy romance in so long. I really need one. I crave it. It's my favorite genre ever. So I need it. You know what? So yeah, I'm in the middle of a book right now, but once that's done, this is next. But yeah, this is a book I want to read before the end of the year, and it will be done. This, I'm sure it's gonna happen, so yeah. So that is A Dance of Lies. Next, in my fantasy books to read before the end of the year, we have one that was on my August, I believe, or September TBR maybe, but I didn't manage to get to it, also because, spoiler alert, but I got into a reading slump, so which I feel like we can already see it with the fact that I only read 4 books in September. Yeah, I've been reading less than my usual this past month, and October is not different, but I'm getting out of the reading slump. I feel it in my bones, so that's great. This book though was on my September TBR, I'm quite sure, and I didn't manage to get to it, and then I started traveling, so yeah, I couldn't get to it, and that is The Rose Baked Virgin by Sasha Peyton Smith. This book is also a fantasy romance, and the next book in the series is coming out next year. So I would like to read this before the end of the year. And this also has to do with court intrigue, because, well, this book has been described by many people as The Selection meets Bridgerton. So The Selection, it was a dystopian it's sort of a reality show where these people compete to win the hand of the prince of the kingdom. And apparently there's an element of that in this book. This is set in the Fae world though, so that's where it becomes fantasy, and it's a kingdom that's ruled by Fae. And the main character enters these competitions to try to save her family from financial ruin, I guess. So yeah, there's a lot of court intrigue, and there's this element of a competition, I guess, like it will give trials vibes, which I really like. I like that in fantasy books. But yeah, I really like this element of the selection, and it's set in England in the 1800s, so that's where the Bridgerton vibes come in. I expect there to be balls and dances and stuff, like high society stuff, you know. So that's my hope for this book. But honestly, it's been months that I want to read it, and I wasn't in the mood for it, and then when I was, I couldn't get to it. So definitely making it a priority before the end of the year. So that was the Rosebergen. Next is a duology, which is very high on my list as well, but I'm kind of waiting for November to read this because I don't know, I need it to be gloomy and colder and rainy possibly. I don't know, I need the right vibes, because I've never read something like it, and I don't know if I would enjoy the vibes of these books if my external reality vibes don't match that, you know what I mean? So I need it to be the same moody kind of weather in reality while I read this book. And I'm talking, of course, about the Shepherd King duology. And these are two books, so I'm counting them as two because it would be amazing if I could just read them back to back and finish the series since it's a duology, right? So we have One Dark Window, One Dark Window, this is the first book, and then we have Two Twisted Crowns. Two Twisted Crowns. And already from these covers you can kind of tell the vibes I'm referencing. It's a gothic fantasy duology. So, and on top of that, the village where the main female character lives at is cursed by this mist, right? That brings illnesses and stuff. So fantasy. So I need the weather to be moody as well. Like today would be a good day to read this, but yesterday it was sunny, so you know what I mean. So I'm trying to read this in November. But yeah, I don't actually know a lot about this duology. I just know what I just told you. I know that it's a gothic fantasy, that this girl lives in a cursed village where there's this mysterious mist, and she sets out on an adventure to try and get rid of the curse. And in order to do that, she has to collect a deck of cards that are very hard to get, and these cards are magical. So the magic system is based on these cards, from what I understand, and everyone says it's a very unique magic system, and I've only seen like 5 stars for these books, really, so I cannot wait to get to them. But yeah, I'm waiting for the right moment, and the right moment is in a few weeks, I think. I need the weather to be right, otherwise I risk not enjoying them as much. You know, when you're like in a reading slump and you read a book and it doesn't hit as hard, but that's because you are on a reading slump. And if you know that if you would have read it at another time, you would have rated it higher. Or like you're in a fantasy mood but you read a thriller and it just doesn't hit, or maybe it even puts you in a slump. So yeah, the life of a mood reader is very difficult sometimes. But yeah, that's the Shepherd King duology. And that brings us to the last book on this list, which is probably the most exciting one for me, but also the most intimidating one. So you will need to help me out with this. If you see that I don't read it by the end of the year, someone needs to walk through the screen, sit me down and talk to me. Seriously. Because I'm out here saying fantasy romance is my favorite genre, and I haven't read the classic of this genre. So this is A Court of Thorns and Roses, also known as Actor, by Sarah J. Maas. I have the full box set because my parents gifted it to me years ago. Like, it's been 2 years, I believe. I have this and I haven't read it because I'm highly intimidated by it, but I've also at the same time managed in some type of way to avoid any type of spoiler for this series. So I don't even know what to say because I don't know much about this book. I know that this first book is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, I believe, where a human girl, I think, gets taken by the Fae. And that's all I know about it. I know there are courts, like the spring court, the winter court, etc. etc. I know that there's a character named Resent that's kind of like the Zayden of Akotar, but I know nothing else. I have managed to avoid every spoiler, fan art, and anything else related to these books for the past years. So I would like to keep it that way, please. Please, I beg you, for the love of God, do not spoil this for me. Please. I know that this book will mean a lot to me, this series. I know that I will like it because I like fantasy romance. And I know that I will be obsessed, so I also, that's a thing. I was waiting for the moment where I could give this like my full attention. So, a moment where I could just honestly just binge read the whole day, the whole series, you know what I mean? And that moment is now. So that moment has come, and I think this is the series I'm most excited about reading. I cannot wait to know all the inside jokes, to be part of this fandom. I really cannot wait to be part of this fandom of the Sarah J. Maas universe in general, because I've never read anything by her, that's the thing, because I've always been scared and intimidated, like her series are long and the fandom is strong, let's say. So, but yeah, let this be let this video hold me accountable for reading this before the end of the year. So that, because I feel like I just need to give myself permission to read this book, this first book, and then everything else will just come and I will binge read the whole series. That's Akotar. The fact that I'm sitting here identifying as a book girly and a fantasy romance lover, and I haven't read this. I'm like, excuse me, you've been living under a rock. Yeah, I have. I've actually purposefully put myself under a rock to avoid any type of anything that surrounds this book. And I've successfully managed, so let me live in my place for another month, because it will not last long after that. But anyways, that is A Court of Thorns and Roses, and that was the last book on this TBR. So they are all the books I want to read before the end of the year. These are my 10 before the end. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know what your 10 before the end list is, and let me know if there's a book in here you're really excited to see me read as well. That would be fun to know. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know, for real, let me know your 10 before the end in the comments. And yeah, I hope you will have a great rest of your day or night, wherever you are. And I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe if you're not already. Join our Bookish family. family. I would love to have you here. We don't talk about books all the time. So, if you're a bookish girly, if you're a book girly like us, come join us. And I hope I will see you in